Thank you very much, FLICKR, and yes, I am taking over Dom. He's gone backstage, going to do wacky inflatable arm-waving man things later on, but I'm still joined by Clement, about to get into the first match of WE taking on TOP. We'll get into the game as soon as possible. As we were talking about earlier, that game was being played since 7 o'clock Beijing time, so it is going to be a playback of the match. It's still going on from what I know, and we're going to bring you all the action we can, live from Team WE's new stadium.
Let's hear the fan shouts out in Xi'an.
It's the first time that Team WE fans are going to be able to cheer for their team at a new venue in Xi'an.
A historical city located in the north of China.
And it's interesting because every time we've seen a new team go to their own arena, there's been a variation to their chant. When it's here in Shanghai, you know, they just cheer for the teams, they take turns. WE, they've got drums now.
Oh, yeah.
They've got drums. We've heard from the Snake Pit, they have their unique chant.
This is what franchising does for your team. It makes that city yours. But going back to the level 1, we do see some cheese strats coming out straight away from TOP with the Braum and Lucian combination.
3 members going to invade against Team WE, pushing them back away from blue buff. Graves is going to try and take this for himself with the help of Lucian and Braum. WE not going to give it up just yet. Condi is on Lee Sin. If he's taking Q, he will have an execute to try and win the smite battle, but instead, blue buff resets. We're not going to the lanes. You know what? Let's just fight over blue buff for the next 20 minutes. That's going to be main focal point. Finally, WE concede. They give blue buff over. Condi's not done yet, though.
He's still waiting on that Q execute, like you said. But overall, TOP's 3-man is much stronger at this position, and they also have the more potential to get kills.
Finally, smite. XX picks up the first buff of the game, denying it away from Condi. WE are able to access the lane first because of this, but they don't get too much of an advantage. Condi will be stuck at level 1 for some time.
Yeah, really starting his buff past the 230-minute mark. This cannot be a good start for LeBlanc here, and it's really going to affect the mid lane control as well. As we all know, Graves is the best champion for those scuttle crabs. Interestingly enough, it does seem like the first one went over towards WE.
Yeah, so Lee Sin only now.
TOP, sorry.
Yeah, Lee Sin only now picking up his red buff. You're right. First Scuttle Crab does go over to XX. Graves is going to be able to take that one away, move into his own jungle, and try and pick up some camps for himself. Condi is not going to lose out too much. He's going to be able to pick up Scuttle Crab for himself. XX will have a tempo advantage, and we kind of expect this from Graves. That's why Graves is such a powerful pick in the jungle at the moment. He is able to create these big tempo leads.
Only Xin Zhao can really contest him in the river at level 2 right now. And we can see him already going over and trying to secure his pathing for the top side. This is a really interesting match because this will be the debut of Marin this split. He did not play in the previous set.
Did not play in the previous set for TOP where they had a loss against them. Now he's going to be playing once again. He was picked up halfway through the season last split by TOP. Didn't help them out too much. He looked good in the top lane, looked like his former self, but wasn't enough to propel TOP in the rankings. Now we'll have to see with a new split, with a new meta, is that going to help them out much? We got to see a couple of skirmishes in the jungle. XX went up against Condi, good move by Condi to try and take something away. But this has been careful play by XX. Not only has he taken the sweeper lens very early, he was able to deter Condi from going for the blue buff, clear his entire jungle, and force Condi to the other side of the map again. He has a nice level advantage and is slowly picking up a CS advantage as well.
This is an incredibly smooth transition for TOP. They had the stronger bot lane duo, a good level 1, and they put XX ahead of Condi. XX has been the person on this roster with a lot of question marks on him. But with this good start, he's actually standing up to the return of the king, the return of our finals MVP in Condi.
And it's not just Condi, it's Condi working with Ben once again. So most of the members of this roster are back. But interestingly enough, they've got 2 AD carries that are well known in the LPL, of Mystic as well as Imp. Neither of which are playing in the opening game for Team WE. It's going to be Gentle from the LDL coming into play this match. And from what we know, he is an AD carry player, not a support like we saw from Snake subbing in for this match.
There are a lot of questions surrounding this. It's true that Mystic and Imp have been underperforming in regards to their stature, but to bring in Gentle, an unknown AD carry, that does say quite a lot of risk for WE to try this out. And a lot of people on Weibo have been saying that, hey, maybe it's just because it's against TOP. Maybe they want a little bit more rest on their main AD carries. So it remains to be seen which import are they actually going to be using, Imp or Mystic.
Well, it's quite interesting because a lot of teams have been doing this. We haven't seen RNG just yet, but we speculate that they are going to be one of the teams that do the exact same thing, playing Abel, not putting in Uzi right away. Could be the same case for Team W, but Gentle's been doing fine so far. Meanwhile, in the mid lane, Condi going for a gank against Gung. Sia gets down to about 6 health, I was going to say, but he is level 6, I should say. Gets the buff onto Condi. Gank doesn't work out. Sia loses quite a bit of health.
And we can see the problem with the level 1 for Condi right there. He was level 3 while his mid laner was level 6. I was actually surprised to see the wild growth just because of the level that Condi was showing up on this mid gank. If Graves was there, that 2v2 turns immediately in the different direction.
But he shows up when Scuttlecrab's being contested. That's the first random spawn Scuttlecrab going over to XX. As you mentioned, Condi was level 3. Did pick up level 4 from a couple of minions that died during the gank. And although he got Gung's flash during that gank, loses Scuttlecrab and XX 2 levels above. Almost 2 levels above, I should say.
We do have to keep very close attention to this because experience from the jungle has been taken away and put into these Scuttlecrabs. If you don't split those Scuttlecrabs, you're actually falling very far behind. And this is a problem that we've been seeing in the new meta. A lot of junglers on losing teams, they're hitting level 7 around their 3rd buff. So not a great outlook for Condi to start the game.
No, it's not, especially with both buffs respawning in just under a minute when Condi started the map, still at level 4. Graves does have a much more expensive build path, is a carry in the late game. Lee Sin is a carry much earlier in the match, but he's being bullied around. That's what we kind of expect from Graves in the jungle. Finally taking a look at the bottom lane. We saw earlier, at the start of the game, TOP Chol as well as Cat were able to invade to the blue buff, deny that from Condi nice and early. And although the CS was in favor of Gentle, they've been able to cash back up. It seems like that that lane has been equalized between the AD carries in the bottom lane. Not going to see any unorthodox picks, no melee champions, no mage champions in the bottom lane either for the first match.
Yeah, definitely did not expect this. TOP has been running a lot of cheese. They were the first ones to run the Mordekaisers into the LPL. But their composition right here, to talk about the differences a little bit, TOP are running a more tempo-based comp. They are better in terms of catching people up, while WE, sticking to their guns, staying to their playstyle, is playing around the big AD carry. It doesn't matter if it's not Imp, it doesn't matter if it's not Mystic. We're going to do the same thing with Gentile and have Xie play the protect and join B style of mid laner.
And in the West, Team WE have always been known as the Elder Dragon team. When Elder Dragon spawns, that's normally when you see Team WE go for a big team fight and turn what was a slightly losing match, or a 50-50, into a completely won game for Team WE. That's where they like to scale up to. They have the tools to do so. They've got Jax, they've got Lulu, they've got Kai'Sa, a lot of late game potential for them, but this is a meta. We don't see teams go into the late game too often. I mean, a very late match would be 45 minutes at most in the current meta.
It's definitely harder to make a comeback, but Condi is aiming for that.
Big play, Gorn gets taken down. Sia is able to pick up first blood on home turf.
Oh man, have we missed you. Condi has been sitting out for the majority of the spring split. This is his chance to start and show up and prove that he's in shape.
And although he's been put behind by XX, that was a fantastic gank. Gives a kill over to Sia. The return gank coming out from Condi. We saw earlier, even though he was level 3 against the level 6 mid laners, went for a gank, didn't get a kill, but at least burnt the summoners, and now he's come back to collect that payment for Sia. Gives him some time to continue pushing. He has a nice 15 CS lead as well.
Let's watch that execution again. The flash R coming out almost instantly. Gung, of course, without his own flash, getting kicked over the wall. There was nowhere he could go.
Very perfect play coming out from Condi. Executed that incredibly well. Gives Sia the kill on top of that. Making sure that he's still useful in this match besides despite being put behind early on. Now he's looking towards the bottom lane, but Cat and Joel try to be pushed underneath their turret. Ben still tries to go in. Condi jumps in for the fight. Cat very low, forced to flash away. Cullen comes out of Chocho just in the turret.
Oh,
whoa!
Gets him with the ignite!
He was off screen, had no idea that was still ticking down, and a kill does get picked up by Team WE. Condi's ganking efforts do pay off, and they're going to be able to continue pushing in the bottom lane.
Yep, Ignite, Condi going home, getting the double longswords, and instantly trying to get a kill somewhere else. Ignite has been buffed in recent patches, so you will see this happen a little bit more. It's easier to snag kills with an Ignite support.
Meanwhile, checking the top side of the map, 957 up against Marin. He's already used his dive, so not going to be able to go back in, Try and capitalize on the Counter-Strike being down against 957. We talked about it earlier, Marin didn't play in the opening match for TOP. Now coming back into the roster, seems like this is a meta that would fit Marin quite well. He is a bruiser and loves to play bruiser champions.
It's actually quite interesting why he actually sat out the first set. We don't have a definitive answer for you right now, but he has been playing some very unorthodox things in terms of the High Korean Challenger. We've been seeing a lot of Teemo play from him, actually. And this game, going for the Aatrox. 957 is also coming up with a new look. He's historically been associated more with being a tank player. He's a premier blue-collar top laner in the LPL. But this game, he's running the counter pick into the Aatrox with the Jax. Jax is known as an anti-fighter fighter. He denies auto attacks and can stop the blood price from being procced by Marin. So a different change, a different look from WE, and I'm really interested if they invest in him.
I believe we saw a bit of that interaction earlier. Meanwhile, there's a gank going on the mid lane. Lulu's going to take some damage. XX jumps in, uses the smite as well. CF forced to use his own ultimate, which should be fine. Connie's going to try and jump into mid lane as well, but ultimate gets used by Graves, trying to dash away. First proc at the Q hits a minion and kills it, so Connie cannot dash any further forward. Both junglers appear in the mid lane. The play does fizzle out. Now going back into that top lane discussion, you mentioned it, Jax, good counter to these brawler-based champions, but we haven't seen too much of it. A couple of arenas have picked it up. We've seen a few players play it here and there, but it's not as popular like the champions of Aatrox, which Marin has picked up for this first game.
That's definitely true, and I think we know the reason as well. Jax is a champion where you do need jungle pressure in that lane to kind of win the matchups. How he trades is he trades off cooldown every single time. And if you don't have the jungle up there, he can't actually do much, just like this scenario.
We already know that XX has priority in the jungle. He was able to bully out Condi at level 1 and has maintained tempo since. Condi is an early game jungler, but nowhere close to top side of map. Very carefully played by 957 as well. Senses that someone could be up here. Spotted out XX earlier from a ward, and is still playing safe ever since.
Condi also does not see XX in the bottom side of the map, so they could very well deduce that he is in the top lane. In fact, he's showing himself and trying to knock down the tower.
But they're actually going very aggressive on the top side of the map. As you mentioned, they're going to try and push that one down. Condi's now moving to bottom lane. He's going to show in the bottom side of the map as well. WE going to race against TOP for first structure.
It doesn't look like they're fast enough. The Fortify has already fallen off on all the turrets, so they're on even ground getting this down. And they're going to open up the floodgates to allow Marin to split push. This is the TOP win condition that we've seen in spring after they acquired Marin. They want him on things like the Gnar, and they want him on things like Kennen, which he can split push himself to a victory.
But he already said a champion like Jax is built and designed to be able to deal with champions like Aatrox. Has the Counter-Strike available to dodge auto attacks, get a nice stun for himself, and loves the prolonged fights. If 957 can stay even, it might deter Marin from going into those split push fights later on in the match.
Well, Jax can definitely still hang on with Aatrox for now. We do have to remember 375 is the amount of gold going into his pockets. If he's able to just get a little bit ahead of Jax, Aatrox is one of those champions that can punish you incredibly hard in lane, and W are reacting to that. They don't want to give Marin the priority in the top lane where he can leave and go to other places and influence the map. So they're swapping their AD carry Gentle up into the lane, allow Ben to kind of roam, and then sending Jax into defensive duty.
Yeah, but 957 is going to miss a couple of waves. 2 or 3 waves crashed into the bottom lane turret. Got a bit of damage on that bottom lane out of turret, but ultimately that's CS that's not going to go to Gentle or 957. Marin's still going to the top side of the map, so even though the AD carry and supports are going to show on the top lane, Marin is waiting in fog of war, waiting to see if WE overcommit, overextend, because they can see that 957 is on the bottom side of the map. Now revealing himself, that play fizzles out, he's going to go elsewhere on the map.
He's definitely looking at that long lane in the bot lane, where he can pick up his items and potentially have a 1v1 scenario against 957.
This entire time, though, WE trying to pick up Rift Tail for himself. Condi is going to get the buff, has to flash of all, gets back to safety. Meanwhile, Marin is still trying to kill him, but Ben says no. Headbutts him back over into the Baron Pit. XX wants to continue chasing, so does Gung, but they're not going to be able to take down this cow. WE sneak a Rift Tail for themselves. Condi gets out alive, and Ben saves his life once again.
Very dicey situation, but W do come out very far ahead of that trade. If you look at the bot lane, Jax actually has the entire wave pushed to that tower. So the turret gold has basically been neutralized coming in from TOP.
But WE are going for another gank. Top side of map. Ben flashing over the Winter's Bite. Doesn't want Cat. He's going straight for the AD carry. Chocho is stuck between a rock and 3 champions against W. Gentle forced to jump back in, but Chocho, one more auto attack would have been enough. Gentle heals back up, but it was so close. Almost a 1-on-3 outplay.
Yeah, really good play from Chocho right there. Unfortunate and unable to get all the damage down. We did see Ben kind of blocking a little bit of damage from the culling right there coming out from Lucian. And I'm just really surprised to see Ben operate at this level. He sat out most of their spring split, was benched, in fact, for the likes of Celestial in the bot lane. He was underperforming quite heavily, but he's coming back and showing us a new face. Good play in the top side, good play in the...
He's looked fantastic so far, Clement. And he's going to be trying to join this fight as well. Teleports are coming out from TOP. 957 in some trouble. Ben tanking up the first fight, the first half of this fight, I should say. Ultimate already being used, gets taken down. Gung gets the kill. WE try to contest for a dragon. That's already been taken, and they lose one of their members.
In the old days, you would always go for this because Condi could always smite you the dragon away, and old habits do die hard, but unfortunately that wasn't the time and place for it. Ben really went in incredibly far for that kill and pays for it with his life and also a mid lane tower.
I mean, they set it up quite well. They had Gentle in the top lane pushing with Rift Herald, the AD carry for Team WE. He had teleport available at the time, so even though WE collapsed, got to that dragon nice and early, they could still use the AD carry to teleport over. TOP did the same thing. Chocho teleported into that fight itself, but it was very curious to see WE try and force a fight there. As you mentioned, it was force of habit almost, thinking they could take that, losing a dragon, now losing a turret. The gold is still in WE's favor, but only by 1,000 over TOP.
Yep. WE, they are the more scaling team composition. They do want to fight when they get their second item spike. We are looking at the AP Kaisa as the main source of damage for them. So that will be Guinsoo's Rage Blade into Nashor's Tooth, and then she can really start to come online. But for most of the early game, however, TOP's champions are stronger by nature. However, they haven't found good opportunities to snowball them, even with a good start.
No, they have not just yet. Good start for them, but I need to find a good concrete advantage against Team WE, who are grouped up as 4 inside a brush just close to red. Cat kind of assumes that they're going to be here, throws out the Winter's Bite, doesn't connect with everyone, but forces Team WE out of the jungle. Now moving towards mid lane. Seer on Lulu, 174 CS, 30 above Gung, picks up a banner of command first. He's going to be very support-oriented, which is going to help out Gentle. You already said it's going to be the AP Kaiser building towards the Nashor's Tooth right after Rage Blade, going for AP items next, but buffed up by a Lulu, protected by Alistar. It's going to be a late-game monster for Team WE.
Oh yeah, and so far we've not seen any plays come out from Goon. The only play we remember from him is him getting kicked in the face by Condi. And Zoe is that type of a champion that does need to snowball. They do need to find places where they can set up a vision denial for WE and try to find picks. This is not a team composition that is built to last into the late game.
One of the picks that works really well in tandem, like champions such as Graves or Aatrox and even Lucian Braum. Champions that are going to win the lane, push quite aggressively, give Gung some time to rotate around the map, get to the small skirmishes, which we didn't see too much of from TOP. They controlled most of the jungle, but could never find picks against Team WE. And Condi, despite falling behind in terms of jungle camps, he's still behind by about 30 CS. He's picked up 3 assists, giving 2 over to his bottom lane, 1 to the mid lane of Seer, making sure that Team WE are scaling nicely into the mid game, and hopefully that seems to be where Team WE wants to pick fights against TOP.
And that's exactly what you want to do when you're fighting against the Graves. Most of the time, you're not going to get the farm lead against him. It's near impossible. So you want to equalize the map with ganks, and this is what Condi has done really well. He's fell behind 2 levels at one point, able to find himself the edge back for his team just with ganks through mid and bot.
He's also been able to equalize that level advantage. He said he was 2 levels behind earlier. He was once about 1 just then, but finally capitalizing the ganks that he's got, equalizing his CS by taking out a couple of scuttle crabs, a couple of camps on XX's side of the map. We're still waiting to see if TOP can pick a fight for themselves. But that window's slowly running out against Team WE, it seems. Especially with Baron coming up in the next 23 seconds. TOP are looking to try and see if they can take down a bottom lane outer turret. XX dashes over the wall, looks to get some damage, but everyone from Team WE is slowly collapsing as well.
Doesn't look like they're going to get it. They're going to stay here and try to fish for a couple more bubbles coming out from Goon, see if they can make a pick. But unfortunately, doesn't look like it.
WE successfully repel TOP, and that bottom lane outer turret still stands with a sliver of health. Gold is steady, 32,000 to both of these teams. 2 turrets apiece, 3 kills to WE, only 1 going into TOP. But yet to see any major clashes. It seems like both of them just rotating across the map. First it was bottom lane. XX is still moving throughout his jungle, clearing what is remaining in his jungle, such as Krugs at the moment. Whereas for WE, they are doing the exact same thing, just clearing up their map, clearing up wards, and waiting quite patiently, it seems.
And the problem with TOP is they just can't go into WE's jungle at this point. They haven't found a way to split WE's team comp apart. They picked the Aatrox for the split push, but there was a really good counter answer from 957, going for an uncharacteristic Jax pick. And if we look at Marin right now, he's never found an opportunity to really just shove and then leave lane to create a numbers advantage elsewhere. And that's really slowing down the pick hop from TOP.
He already has the Titanic Hydra picked up to increase the wave clear potential of Aatrox. And they're still isolated in that 1-on-1 lane against 957. Teleports are available for both these top laners, so they can jump to the team fights. Chol has his own as the AD carry for TOP, and WE's carries of Sia as well as Gentle both have their own teleports. So we can see members fly across the map in a couple of seconds of notice, but nothing much happening. Just clearing waves, taking their time. And this is not quite what we've seen throughout majority of this meta. We've seen a lot of early game fights. By this point of the game, there should be at least 15 kills. I only see 4 coming.
Yeah, well, this is WE's style. They do like to play slow and steady. They're one of the few teams we have that, on average, lose faster than they win. They definitely prefer the late 35, 30-minute game, and it's hardwired into them to play around their carries.
We're getting closer to it, but Infernal Dragon has spawned. Gentle's even teleporting onto a control ward just out of vision to make sure he's there for the fight against TOP. Picked up the Nashor's Tooth, a crucial item breakpoint for Kaiser. Has Lulu as well, and Condi picks up Infernal Dragon. XX wanted to contest for that, but was not successfully able to do so. Meanwhile, it's going to be Marin going for a flank in the back lines. Condi kicks him over the wall. He's not able to get that flank, but Sia is going to fall. Gentle trying to disengage. Another member of Team W bites the dust. That's 3 kills being picked up by TOP. The flank, it works out for TOP. They take down WE.
The disaster strikes on the bottom side. They actually kick Aatrox into Gentle, and Gentle is actually forced out of the fight after being tagged by one of Goon's bubbles right there. So a good startup for TOP, landing the skill shots they need, getting the flank they wanted, and really forcing W to pay a dear price for that Infernal.
Good vision control as well. They had a ward for the flank. They were able to sweep out a couple of wards that WE were trying to protect in the front side of the pit close to the mid lane. But not only did they lose 3 members, yes, they give the Infernal Dragon over, but they pick up Baron buff just 23 minutes into the match, something that TOP love to do historically.
And that's just a massive win for TOP. The really important thing about WE's composition is that they have to have a unified front. If you're thinking about Alistar, you're thinking about Lulu, they need to push up in one way, and the early bubble really forces W completely out of position. They no longer have a formation, they can defend, and everyone is among their carries.
Ben wasn't in that fight, separated by TOP. Sia chunked out during that fight. Gung gets a great bubble. You already talked about that earlier. He needs to look for those picks. He needs to look for the poke before he starts the fight. TOP got all of that. Their setup was actually quite good against Team WE, and now they have all the tools in their arsenal to try and take down Team WE. They've got a slight gold lead, about 1,500 gold. They've got 2.5 minutes of Baron buff to work with, a weakened bottom lane out of the turret. They could start trying to push closer to Team WE's base.
What I want to see them do is use that pushing power from the Baron buff and try to take over one side of WE's jungle. They can take a lot of resources for them, and that's where they're going to set up the ambush for the picks to really occur. On WE's side, I would say just stay out. You know, just defend your towers. It's a Lucian pushing into you. He's not going to take high ground towers very easily, so be content for the game to go longer.
But the solution already has a Blade of the Ruin King and Essence Reaper, 2 items current meta that he actually needs. As the Reaper has been changed, so his first auto attack after the culling is going to start that crazy dash around game that he likes to play. Reset the cooldowns of all his abilities quite nicely thanks to his passive. And TOP are feeling confident. They have their own banner of command that was picked up by Cat as the support, and they're pushing towards inhibitor turrets, slowly taking a beating by this turret.
Whew. very difficult to play in this form. W don't have good engage themselves. It's going to be incredibly hard to lock down on Chocho, and Marin's already going for the split push.
They're losing turrets. Mid lane in a turret taken down. Cat makes a nice micro play as well. Puts up the shield right in front of Thomas the Tank. Make sure that the Banner of Command Baron minion takes no damage from Team WE, allows them to push through. They took down 3 turrets in the bottom lane back-to-back. Inhibitor is going to fall as well. And as you mentioned, the split push coming out from Marin nets them another 2 in the mid lane.
And W are feeling the pain of the reduced tower HP on the map right now. They are a late game team, and our questions for them was, could they survive in this meta that forces you to fight early, that forces you to make a stand for yourself in River? And even though the early game was fine, it only takes one bad team fight for everything to go away, and it's too delicate for W to balance.
And in their debut for Summer Split, it's not looking good for Team WE. Not only is Imp and Crystal nowhere to be seen, the 2 AD carries we thought could play for Team WE, with their full roster coming back with the likes of Condi as well as Ben.
Small correction, of course, their AD carry is Mystic.
That's right, Mystic. But on top of that, you're right. We haven't seen them adapt to the current meta yet. And bear in mind, this is only game 1. Things could change throughout the rest of this series. Things could change throughout week 1 and week 2 of the LPL. But it's similar to what we saw in Spring Split. They started with their roster, and slowly members disappeared, and WE fell from what was a semi-finalist at Worlds last year into a middle-of-the-pack, close to the bottom of the table team in Spring Split this year.
They were lacking a lot of their players. Condi was gone for a while. Ben was benched because of performance issues. And W kind of fell apart. They were the team that were supposed to contest RNG. They were that other semi-finalist team that LPL sent to Worlds. And to be honest, this is a big rebuilding phase from them. We should not expect them to instantly go back to their former glory just because Condi has suddenly come back from a split without playing.
The start of this match looked good. Yes, TOP rejuvenated a little bit after the loss earlier in the week. XX had a good start to the match on Graves, got a priority pick for himself. Marin's joined the roster again. He's looked okay, top side of the map, yes, into a difficult matchup, but he's doing perfectly fine, doing the role that his team needs to be. Got that good flank at Dragon, was able to split push when they finally picked up Baron buff for themselves. And TOP are setting up for plays. They're not doing anything too cheeky, anything too cheesy. They're not capitalizing on mistakes, but instead creating their own opportunities, and they're doing the same thing top side of the map. Top lane in a turret gets taken down by TOP.
I really do like the way TOP is sieging onto W. W's composition does lack engage. So what TOP are doing is that they're just setting up shop in front of the tower and slowly poking it down, daring W to come out of their composition. And even though they don't have the greatest pushing potential, they're still able to chip, still able to threaten away. They're not going for the 4-1, which has the potential danger of being engaged upon by the 5-man for W. They're just sticking together and slowly chipping.
But as we mentioned for Team WE, even though it hasn't looked like they've done much during the early game, historically they have been that Elder Dragon team. 35 minutes is where you look at Team WE and say, look, this is where they can try and take the game. One of the final elemental dragons is going to fall. Infernal gets taken down. There will be one more before that Elder Dragon. Mountain's the next one to spawn. But WE have the tools to scale. They've got a Jax, they have a Kai'Sa, with a Lulu building not only Banner of Command, but Ardent Sensor as well, and Zeke's Harbinger being picked up by their support of Ben. If they can hold on for about 7 to 8 more minutes, that 5,000 gold lead that TOP have is not going to matter, but it seems like TOP are not going to let go of the pressure they have just yet. Still pushing for mid lane Inhibitor.
They definitely aren't. They do have a lot of poke potential. Chocho with the Essence Reaver is so mobile. He can sit right in front of a high ground and start chipping away in that towers like he's been doing just before. I think if his mechanics are on point, he should be able to dodge out of Ben's WQ combo quite easily.
I mean, he has his 3 items. Black Cleaver was the final pickup for Chocho. Still waiting for the last 2 to complete his build, but this is where Lucian is incredibly strong. We already talked about Essence Reaver and what it does for the champion. Now he's going to be able to shred the armor. People like 957, Condi, as well as Ben, making the front line less of a threat, something that's easier for TOP to kill.
And W really only have one tank in Ben to start the fight with them. They can't go in with 957, they can't go in with anyone else. So it's really easy to keep eyes on where the engage is coming from. So I think Chocho should be more confident in just walking up and start dealing more damage.
Yep. 957 can initiate, so can Condi. But not as beefy as Alistar being played by Ben. Rabadon's going to be picked up soon by Gentle. That would be a big item breakpoint for Team WWE. Gung gets tagged by the W, but jumping into that cluster of TOP members would be a death sentence for Gentle. They do slowly repel TOP from pushing further forward, but they're waiting in the wings, waiting on Foggerwall, throwing out Sleepy Trouble. Bubbles doesn't connect. Cat tries to jump to a minion as well to tag Seer, but sidestepped by the mid laner of Team WE. Waiting for more objectives to respawn, keeping pressure in the mid lane, making sure the W are stuck in their base. They can recall, pick up some items. They take Scuttle Crab for themselves to look at Baron, and that could be the next objective that these two teams fight over.
Such a tense moment right there from Xie, dodging out on 2 skill shots. The Sleepy Trouble bubble coming in from Magoon, and also dodging the Braum Winter's Bite as well to keep his team alive. But that's the scenario that TOP are going to put him through over and over again, just like you said. If you look at the jungle right now, what WE is doing is that they're trying to control this side and give themselves an easier path where they can check the Baron.
They've cleared out as much of the jungle as they possibly can. Blue buff will respawn, and it seems like 957 is on split push duty, stuck on the bottom side of the map. He'll slowly clear out all those minions, going towards an Essence Reaver himself on Jax. They'll make the cooldown of his Counter-Strike incredibly stupid, I'm going to say. He'll get that up a couple of times over the course of a team fight, but TOP, they put up the pressure. W were not able to repel. It looks like they want to try and scale into the late game. And TOP are slowly regaining control of the red side of the jungle, setting up for a Baron play, potentially a push onto one of the inhibitor turrets, or bottom lane inhibitor, which is left wide open. No turret left there.
So I'm going to make a small prediction at what's going to happen. TOP are going to control the red side of the jungle, but I think we might see the Son of Baron pop off again. Condi is known for his Baron steals, and in this scenario, he's pretty much the only hope WE have for coming back in the game.
But they've caught out Marin. First knocker comes out of Ben. 957 looks to collapse. Marin says, I'm happy to fight. Ben flashing away from the fight that comes out from Aatrox. TOP get a summoner spell. They try and take more from WE. W wanted to find that pick. It would help them out so much to stall this game. Doesn't work out.
Definitely. Aatrox with full stacks on his Blood Bowl is able to get that revive. So he was very brave going into the 1v2, not scared of WE's threats at all. But W is taking a risk here. In order to go to Baron, they need to go through the mid lane, push it up, and then head through the mid lane brush. They know their jungle is compromised.
Boom has been tagged by Kai'Sa. Can jump to that champion if he wants to. Marin was forced back to base. Went to pick up a couple of items. Has his Rage Blade. Has the Steris Gauge as well as the Titanic Hydra. Even the Spectre's Cowl for a little bit of magic resistance.
This is an incredibly risky style that WE is playing, but it is their only path to drawing TOP out of their Baron pit. They don't want to let go of that objective. The Baron has been buffed where you do more AD and more AP now than previous patches, so it's incredibly detrimental.
Well, welcome to the Butcher's Bridge, because everyone from this match is stuck in the mid lane at the moment. Slowly, a couple of members are going to fan out. Gung's moving towards the top side of the map. No teleport available for Zoe, but that's quite close to the Baron. Meanwhile, Aatrox stuck in the bottom side of the map. 957 is going to move down there. Has Counter-Strike... Sorry, has his Essence Reaver available, but there is a flanking teleport coming in from Marin. Looking to try and start this fight. Ultimate get used by Ben. The Alistar is incredibly tanky at the moment, and teleport's going to come in as well. 957 wants to join it. Big knock-up coming up by Seer. XX gets isolated. Kai'Sa jumps in and gets the first kill for Team WE. Marin now, the one that's in trouble. The top laner for WE is dead. Taken down by Lucian. Dashing left, right, and center. Gets another one. Gung gets that kill onto Ben. Condi's now stuck. Has to dash back to a teammate. 2-for-1 trade in favor of TOP.
TOP coming out very slightly right there. I did like their initial reaction to W grouping up. They actually split up for better farm efficiency, but the problem is when they're trying to come back into this Baron side, they're a bit uncoordinated with Gung. So the early start of the fight actually looked very good for WE.
Oh, it looked great.
Yeah. 957 was instantly onto the backline of Cho-Cho, but at last I think Aatrox cutting off the entire composition just was too difficult to deal with.
I mean, the start was perfect, right? We saw a knock-up into a Lulu ultimate, into more knock-ups. And we even had 957, as you said, in position to jump in with a full team Counter-Strike to start dishing out the damage. On top of that, Condi separating XX, allowing Gentle to dash in with the ultimate. Dash in as Kai'Sa, kill one target. But at the same time, 957 died. Team WE pick up a Dragon for themselves, and they delay Baron from being taken any further, or any sooner, I should say.
Aatrox is typically a terrible team fighting champion. He has a very hard time getting into fights, but when he's already positioned in the middle of a fight, had his blood well down among 5 people, then he's incredibly potent. He can deal a lot of damage, and he's dealing it AoE.
But he just showed bottom lane. Marin already teleport for the flank. This is a 5-on-4 TOP contest, and WE take a 3 Baron. What the heck are you doing, TOP? Now they choose to fight. WE are happy to try and pick this fight 4-on-5. Slowly, Marin is going to try and join this. Ben doesn't get tagged by Winter's Bite, but auto attack comes out from Cat. 2 more auto attacks would stun him. They do so over the blast cone. Goong's able to pick up a kill for himself, but the rest of Team WE are trying to get back to base as fast as possible. Sia doesn't get out in time. Cancelled by XX. Gets put to sleep as well. Why are you flashing there? Just accept your death, Sia.
Kandi and Gentle, go away. Why are you still here?
They could have recalled. They were trying to recall inside that brush, and TOP have successfully killed 1. Now putting Kandi to sleep. He's going to flash as well. 957 wants to stop them with the counter-strike. Not going to happen. They say, you know what? Let's just fight. Why not, damn it? Goong's going to be able to take a kill for TOP. 957 finally jumps over the wall. Chocho's not having it, but counter-strike!
He gets the 500!
500 gold because he gets that shutdown as well. Gentle wants to dash in for more, using the stopwatch, trying to stay alive, but Exit says Kobe from downtown gets that kill, and Marin this whole time says, you know what? While you guys want to fight, I'm going to take all these inhibitors.
2 massive macro misplays out from WE, out from W and TOP, by the way. W could have walked away with 2 people down in Ben and Xie, but instead the 3-man stayed for no real reason right there. Of course, the crowd giving their cheers over to 957, who did get that big 500 bounty.
Big outplay against Chocho. Jax against the 80 carry, pops the counter-strike at the perfect time. Pixel perfect to get that kill. 1-1 and 0. He's been in 1 entire kill this game, Clement. And that was that single outplay.
But what are WE doing? Like, what are both of these guys doing? That was such a clear-cut play because they could have defended their main lane inhibitor from going down. Only Aatrox was pushing at that point, but they tried to get Xie out of a bad decision. They stopped their teleports, and Xie died instantly anyway.
Just let him die. The rest of Team WE could have gotten out of that fight.
Yeah, they definitely could.
They were recalling. They were trying to avoid that mess. And everyone was focused on Sia, but instead, Sia falls. Kondi's going to pay the price for it as well. Gentle tries to go for an outplay, and only 957 gets out alive.
Yeah, 957 is now the only player with the Baron buff. He's all that remains of that fight.
And unfortunately, they don't even pull back a gold lead for themselves. TOP is still 7,000 gold ahead, picking up about a 2,000 gold lead since we last checked on Team WE trying to turtle. Losing that mid lane inhibitor turret. Losing even more from the kills that were picked up by TOP. Have to defend against another onslaught on what was the Elder Dragon team that everyone has known them to be. Has reached the Elder Dragon state of the game, but without a gold lead, without being equal against TOP, and it seems like they're going to need some more time to try and put up a defense. But 957 says, you know what, I'm going to go and fight. His Guardian Angel gone. Instantly popped. He has to try and jump away from this. Revive comes through, but killed instantly by Marin. Take it down. Ben now in the front lines. Chocho going to try and dash forward. Marin says, I will fight all of you. Kicked back by Kondi. Get out of here, he says, as he gets tagged by Winter's Bite. Kondi wants to jump back in, but he's stuck between 5 members of TOP. 2 kills being picked up. This base defense, it's not looking good for Team WE.
And they're going to fall down right here, right now. Marin, really the hero of TOP. All of his teleports were incredibly crucial, and he stuck it to WE.
And they've done it for now. Next is that half health. Ben tries to put up the hero play, but it's not going to be enough. TOP, they take game 1 over WE.
So all of our predictions for Game 1 are out the window. WE still falls to TOP, the last place team in their conference in Spring Split. Kondi coming back, Ben coming back, not enough to save the scenario. And I just think WE were trying to try too many different things with the composition that worked for them in the past. They wanted 957 to play a Jax in the top lane to counter Marin, but he didn't really do anything.
No, it did not work out that way, and I think our Magic 8-Ball might be laughing right now, Clement.
Oh, man.
I believe, if I remember correctly, the only quote-unquote caster to predict a TOP win against Team WE and start off the game well. TOP, XX got priority. Very different from what we saw from them early in the week. Marin's back was able to go toe-to-toe against 957 in a bruiser-based meta. They got great picks, like the Lulu in the mid lane, like we saw, sorry, not Lulu, like we saw with Zoe in the mid lane, like we saw with Lucian bottom side of the map, played the early game well, and they were able to make sure that Team WE had no chance of coming back.
Yeah, I just think Team W does not operate well without a clearly defined front line. You could see the last engage from 957 there. That was completely uncalled for. He jumped in onto an Aatrox, instantly lost his GA, and died on the spot. You can really tell that this player is not comfortable in playing this split push bruiser style.
No, it does not seem like it at all. Seems like the meta hasn't really, WE haven't really adapted to the meta just yet, but we'll have to see what happens throughout the rest of this series. As you can see, it was WE that led slightly during the early game, despite all the pressure that XX put onto Team WE. They started to fall one by one. They started to make these mistakes. And good setup coming up from TOP. I mean, we have to congratulate them, because besides giving away Baron for free, they played that game pretty well.
Exactly. I have to give it to Marin. I think this guy, while his mechanics aren't really 2015 Marin mechanics, but his teleports are still on spot. He's been leading TOP and giving them a win condition. This is something that TOP has never had before. They lack the carries to do it. But with the smart play from Marin, with his backline cutting and his understanding of Aatrox, they are able to steal a game away from WE, something none of us expected.
But it's still a best of 3 series, and Team WE can try and come back. Normally, this is where I send it back to the analyst desk, but I read from here. Raz says, Fish and Clement are doing a good enough job as analysts. We don't need to talk. Oh, good job, buddy.
Okay.
So in 2 minutes, we'll be back with the next match.